The movie begins as Rachel Becker grows up convinced she's destined to marry one perfect man. Now she's a New York City sculptor and art teacher, but romance never measures up to her fantasy, so her dating app routine is simple. Swipe left, again and again. Her mother, Judith, refuses to accept that. Judith constantly tries to match Rachel with serious men, doctors, lawyers, anyone who looks impressive on paper. When she visits Rachel's studio and notices a large hidden statue, Judith demands to see it, but Rachel blocks her. She doesn't want her pushy mom anywhere near her private work. That night, Rachel hosts an event meant to showcase her students' sculptures. Her family crashes it, and Judith loudly announces Rachel will present her own art too. Rachel objects. The night is for the students. But the real issue comes out. After a harsh review years ago, Rachel stopped showing her personal work to anyone. Rachel's sister Ruth arrives with her fiancé Ben, plus Ben's friend David Cohen, a former lawyer turned stand-up comedian. Ben invites Rachel to David's show, but Judith brushes it off, already scheming. Moments later, she drags in a cardiologist, Dr. Pavitur, hoping to set Rachel up on the spot. Rachel stays polite and explains a student piece as a symbol of forbidden cravings. Dr. Pavitur still doesn't get it, and Rachel realizes they're incompatible. She sends him away, then warns Judith to back off or she'll become a cat lady forever. David tosses in a quick joke that actually makes Rachel laugh, but she still leaves early, claiming a headache. Her dad and future brother-in-law watch her go, speechless as if choosing privacy over performance is a personal insult. On the walk home, she meets Doris, her neighbor and closest friend. Over drinks, Rachel admits her boyfriend checklist is extreme: kind, smart, loyal, romantic, and perfectly aligned with her view of love. Watching her parents' calm marriage made her chase an idealized, conflict-free version for herself. Doris tells her that's not how real relationships work. Rachel finally reveals what she's been hiding. She sculpted a perfect man in clay for a contest, obsessively designing everything: looks, personality, interests, like she was building her dream partner piece by piece. Doris is amazed and brings up Jewish folklore about the golem, a man formed from clay and brought to life. As a playful gift, Doris gives Rachel a green amulet necklace, teasing that it can activate the clay man. Rachel doesn't believe it, but she puts it on anyway as thunder rolls outside. Meanwhile, David can't stop thinking about Rachel. Ruth discourages him, and Judith clearly dislikes the idea of a comedian dating her daughter, so David assumes he has no shot. The next morning, Judith barges into Rachel's apartment with an ultimatum. She has booked 4 dates for Rachel during Ruth's wedding events. Rachel can only dodge them if she arrives with her own date. Rachel heads to work, still furious, and then hears a man's voice in her studio. Standing there is a breathtaking, statue-like guy who calmly says he is clay, the sculpture Rachel created, now alive. Rachel freezes, checks the back for proof, and finds her signature and initials. It's real. A student walks in, so Rachel panics and sends the student away on an exploration assignment, claiming she's interviewing a model. Alone, she tries to understand what's happening. Clay brings her coffee exactly how she likes it and gives her a perfect massage, like her preferences came preloaded. Rachel calls Doris in a panic and begs her to bring clothes. Doris arrives, stares at the living clay man, and treats it like the universe answered Rachel's wish list. She dresses him in a loud Hawaiian shirt, feeds him a pastry, and Clay reacts with childlike delight. He was basically born moments ago. Doris suggests the obvious: take Clay as Rachel's wedding date and shut Judith down. Rachel hesitates because Clay has no real human history, social instincts, or hobbies. Clay insists his only hobby is Rachel, and he'll do anything for her. Rachel agrees, takes him shopping, and introduces him to everyday life. When she buys him a hot dog, Clay misunderstands the name and thinks it's made of dogs, making Rachel laugh for real. Back home, Rachel starts coaching Clay for meeting her family. She tries to script him into saying he's headed to law school to satisfy Judith's obsession with stability, but Clay refuses, saying lawyers are paid to argue, and he never wants to argue with Rachel. The more she trains him, the more Clay seems like everything she imagined: attentive, sensitive, devoted, and completely focused on her. They build him a backstory and identity, and Rachel can't believe her perfect man is standing right there. Then Clay kisses her and, with total sincerity, says it's the best kiss he's ever had, especially because it's also his first. At Ruth and Ben's wedding, Judith is anxious about Rachel, convinced it's wrong that the younger sister is marrying first. Mark calms her, saying Rachel will find someone worthy in her own time. David Cohen arrives in a suit, and Judith snarks that she's shocked he isn't in a hoodie. Then Rachel appears in a floral dress, and David's compliment makes her blush, until she remembers she came with a mission. She introduces Clay to her parents. Clay shakes hands with bright confidence, even giving David a steel grip handshake that earns a joke. Mark and Judith exchange stunned looks. Rachel actually brought a date. Rachel and Clay sell a story that they met in Rachel's evening sculpting class while Clay was working on a flower vase. They cap it with a quick kiss, and Judith's face screams victory. Then Judith asks Clay's last name. Rachel panics and improvises Goldfisher, grabbing the idea from gold jewelry and the fish being served. She patches it again by claiming Gold is his stage name because he models, and she ups the appeal by saying he's aiming for law school. Mark immediately tells Clay to ask David for LSAT help. Clay doesn't know what the LSAT is, so Mark and David explain. Clay recovers with a sweet joke that he was testing them, and the group laughs, fully buying the act. During the ceremony, Ben steps on the glass in Jewish tradition, and everyone cheers. Rachel tells Clay to stay put and eat while she prepares her toast. Clay obeys, wiping out a full platter of finger foods. Rachel practices her speech in a side room, and David follows, suggesting she add one funny line. She resists, then accepts his help. With David's tweaks, the toast lands, and afterward Rachel thanks him. They connect. Later, David and Ben watch Rachel and Clay dance. David can't believe the picky Rachel chose anyone. Ben teases him and tries pushing a cousin at him, but David says he'll focus on comedy instead of chasing love. After the wedding, Ben and Ruth move into their apartment. Rachel helps them unpack while Clay is away on a modeling shoot. Rachel sets up Clay's Instagram to boost his career. David arrives with rugelach, Rachel's favorite pastry. Ruth complains they were supposed to bring donuts, but David and Rachel say in unison that rugelach is better. They argue playfully about flavors when Rachel hates a fig and date one and demands chocolate. Ben and Ruth slip out, leaving Rachel and David mid-banter. Clay walks in with fresh chocolate rugelach, baked by him. Rachel is thrilled. David is impressed and jealous. David starts to leave to rehearse, but Clay asks what he's rehearsing for. When he learns it's stand-up, Clay suggests they all go, and Rachel agrees reluctantly. At the comedy club, Rachel is surprised by how funny David is. His set is built around his Jewish family, and Rachel laughs hard. Clay watches, still learning what funny even means. Afterward, Rachel and Clay walk under a snowy night. Clay shows Rachel a massive billboard near her studio, his jeans ad. She's proud, but she also worries about where he'll live. Conveniently, David's nephew is moving out right as Rachel needs a place, and Clay declares the apartment perfect. David helps even as jealousy grows. Clay's love is intense because he's new to being human. He isn't casual, he's devoted. He keeps baking for Rachel. When Rachel visits the apartment and sees the cooking mess, she's embarrassed and apologizes to David while cleaning. In that moment, she and David bond over shared culture and the pain of parents who never approve. Rachel starts noticing she likes David's blunt honesty more than she should. Doris senses the danger and warns Rachel. Clay isn't just a boyfriend, he's a golem with a purpose. If Rachel breaks his heart, the magic could reverse, and he could become a statue again. At a dinner with Rachel's parents, Clay announces he wants culinary school instead of law. Judith hates the idea, calling it an unstable future. Mark defends Clay, but the pressure wins, and Clay backs down to keep peace. As they leave, Judith pulls Clay aside, hands him a family heirloom ring, and pushes him to propose. Clay is overjoyed and agrees. Meanwhile, David enrolls in Rachel's night class. He struggles, trying to sculpt a realistic dog because he's always wanted one. Rachel shows what she can do by sculpting a lifelike dog herself, stunning him. She later shows him more work and admits she's terrified to enter the Center for Contemporary Art Design contest after being torn apart before. David encourages her to enter anyway. Rachel hears it as ignorance of her pain and snaps at him, and David walks out hurt. Back at the apartment, David vents and Clay misunderstands, thinking women must have wronged him. David explains it's about the girl he likes. Clay blurts that Rachel is perfect. David argues nobody is perfect and flaws are normal. Clay refuses to accept it. Later, David finds Clay studying his old law books. Clay has decided to ditch culinary school dreams and pursue law school just to please Rachel and her family, keeping cooking as only a hobby. David tastes Clay's sushi, admits it's perfect, and the rivalry softens into a real bromance. Back at the studio, Rachel vents to Doris about David. His "just try it" advice felt like he was calling her a coward. Doris asks what Clay thinks. Rachel says they haven't talked and it doesn't matter. Doris points out the problem. If Clay doesn't matter here, why is Rachel still obsessed with David's opinion? At a comedy bar, David gets huge news. He's nominated for Laugh Fest. Riding that high, he meets a woman and they start dating. Rachel sees the post online and pretends she's fine. Clay brings Rachel coffee and notices she's anxious. She admits she's considering an emerging artist expo, but she's scared of another brutal judgment. Clay tells her not to submit. In his mind, worry is a bad sign. Rachel thinks it over, then does the opposite. She enters the expo and throws herself into creating a new masterpiece. At the same time, Clay studies for the LSAT, but realizes cooking, not law, is what actually lights him up. At David's apartment, Rachel and Clay relax on the couch while David talks about his new girlfriend. He says the date is great and hints she's different from Rachel. David also reveals he'll be performing at Laugh Fest, but he won't say it too loudly, afraid to get his hopes up. Rachel says he'll get in. David answers with the same challenge he gave her. You won't know unless you try. The next morning, Clay plans pancakes. David demands syrup and heads out. Rachel watches Clay looping cooking videos and David's words keep echoing. Then Rachel gets the email. Her work has been selected for display. At a small celebration in her apartment, her family is thrilled. Judith assumes Clay must have inspired Rachel, but Rachel shocks everyone by saying it was David who pushed her to be brave. They toast to her success. That same night, David's date starts asking what Laugh Fest pays. When she hears it's mostly exposure and future work, she loses interest and leaves him. Rachel calls David to thank him, then breaks more bad news. Her expo night is the same night as his Laugh Fest set, so she can't attend. David says it's okay, but it clearly hits him. Doris watches Rachel after the call and finally says it out loud. Rachel's in love with David, not Clay. Judith doubles down on her plan and pushes Clay to propose at the expo, handing him the family heirloom ring. David, meanwhile, is prepping his set and is nervous. Clay tells him he's proposing tonight too. The two men hug and wish each other luck. At the museum, Rachel unveils her piece, a sculpture of her younger self with a sculpted man, echoing the opening of the film. The director asks about her inspiration. Rachel says she misses the simpler time when she thought she knew who she was, before fear made her lose herself. The director is impressed. At David's show, Doris urges him to go confess to Rachel. David hesitates because of Clay's proposal, but Doris insists he'll regret staying quiet. David is about to go on stage, and then walks out. Mid-acceptance speech, Rachel is announced the winner. Clay interrupts and proposes, saying he only wants her happiness. Ring in hand. The moment shatters when David storms in. He ditched Laugh Fest to tell Rachel he loves her. He says she's imperfect and that's fine. He'll be there, pushing her to face life instead of hiding. Clay steps in too, admitting he can't challenge her like David can, but he will always support her and put her happiness first. Judith keeps pressuring Rachel to say yes, especially boasting that Clay has been accepted to Harvard Law. Mark finally snaps and admits their marriage was never flawless. They fought and struggled but hid it from the kids, and that lie helped create Rachel's impossible expectations. Rachel breaks. She confronts Judith for trying to shape everyone into what she wants, and realizes she did the same to Clay. Rachel ends things with Clay. When he reaches for the amulet, she stops him and tells him to follow his real passion, culinary school. Clay agrees, choosing a life that's truly his. Clay leaves with Mark. David approaches Rachel with wilted flowers, and they finally speak honestly. Rachel and David kiss. In the ending montage, Ruth has triplets. Judith and Mark chase new adventures. Clay becomes a successful chef. David performs at Laugh Fest, and Rachel and David choose each other, happily imperfect.